Hey YouTube, Matches 860. Smoking the Phil Rivera Bulldog with Big and Burley. June of 1973, I graduated high school. Was going to take a year off before I went to college. I had found a job in August working at a fairly new nursing home, about a half an hour from my house. This place was state-of-the-art. Nursing homes at the time were usually all vinyl asbestos tiled, very dingy, they smelled. This place was carpeting in the corridors, the front lobby, indoor gardens with a fountain, huge living room, beautiful furniture, and the grounds just beautiful. Behind the building there was a pond about the size of half a football field. The owners of the nursing home had fenced it all in and bought 4 domesticated ducks, big white ducks. Residents and visitors used to love to go out in the good weather and feed them and watch them. So I was doing maintenance work there, and winter came, and I showed up on this particular day when they were calling for a snowstorm, first one of the season. My boss read off this list of stuff we had to get done, and also mentioned that I was going to have to spend the night there because in the safety code you couldn't allow the snow to accumulate more than 3 inches at the exits. Too many people had died in nursing home fires, and they were really strict about this, so somebody had to be there all night keeping up with the snow. No big deal. So all morning long we're getting sand and salt ready, shovels ready, the snowblower ready. My boss says, in the wintertime, we take the ducks out of the pond, put them in a pen close to the building. They had like this little dog house inside this pen where they could get out of the weather. It had cedar shavings in it, and a place for water and a place for food. So there was this little peninsula that stuck out into the pond. It's where the ducks were used to getting fed. My boss takes me out there, and the ducks, sure enough, come swimming over. Bap, 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 bap. They thought they were going to get fed. He says, all you got to do, reach down, make sure the duck's wings are tucked in, and just grab them. was like, yeah, right. Duck was almost as big as I was. He picks up his duck. Friggin' neck is like all over the place. I reached down and grabbed my duck. It's really weird. It was like holding a basketball with a rubber hose flying around all over the place. So we get these ducks over to the pen. After lunch, he decided he wanted to clean up one of the storage rooms. Had all kinds of junk in it left over from construction and whatnot. He's putting all this stuff into a pile. Got to be 3 o'clock when he leaves. And he said to me, the last hour I want you to get this stuff out to the compactor. So I said, okay. Got a cart and started loading this junk onto it. Had to make several trips. The snow was already coming down, so I had my coat and my boots. Was on my last trip out to the compactor with junk. The trash man shows up. I had kind of talked to this guy before, but I didn't really know him. And decided I'd move the cart over to the side and wait till he emptied it. He gets out of his truck. He says, you want to put that stuff in before I empty it? I said, I don't care. So he asked me what time I was going to be leaving. I said, oh, I'm spending the night. You know, I got to keep the exits open. He says, hey, I got one more run to do down at Brandeis University, which was right around the corner. He said, I'm going to stop at the package store. I got to come right back past here on my way home. Do you want anything? In April of 1973, a number of states passed a law allowing 18-year-olds to drink. Totally different mindset back then. No big deal, so I said, sure, pick me up a 6-pack of Bud. Reached in my pocket to get my wallet. He goes, no, I'll hit you up when I come back. So I said, just go into the kitchen when you come back and have me paged. Okay. I got called upstairs for some kind of minor crisis. I got paged. Please come to the kitchen. Oh, the guy's back with my 6-pack of Bud. Go down to the kitchen. Food service director lady is laughing. She goes, hey, the trash man left you a present. I was like, where is he? She said, he took off. He said, have a good night. There was a case of Budweiser on the table there in front of her. I figured, well, this isn't going to be such a bad night after all. So she said, if you want, you can put it in the walk-in refrigerator. You're probably going to be hungry tonight, so I'll leave you the keys to the kitchen. You can come and go and get whatever you need. Cool. So I said, I think I'll take a 6-pack with me and leave it outside the door of the maintenance shop, and then I can just grab one after I'm done shoveling and whatnot. She goes, okay. So it was snowing pretty hard at this point, and I did my first shoveling and pounded down a couple of beers. And dinner time, they made me up a tray. Ate dinner, pounded down a few more beers. Did some more shoveling, pounded down a few more beers. I was in the shop and the phone rang. Picked it up, and it was the nurse from one of the floors. She wanted to know where I was going to be sleeping. There was a storage room, huge storage room across from the workshop. Had beds in it, other unused furniture. I said, I'm going to be sleeping in the storage room. She says, well, I got 2 nurses' aides here. Their parents don't want them driving home in the weather. They're going to have to spend the night. I was going steady at the time, so the last thing on my mind was fooling around with a couple of nurses' aides. I have to admit, though, the thought was crossing my mind. So anyway, she says, I'm going to send them down with linen and blankets and stuff, and they can make up the 3 beds. I said, okay. Sure enough, they come down. I opened up the storage room door. They set about to making up the beds, and I went back out and did some more shoveling. Pounded down a few more beers. About 10 o'clock, we sort of gathered in this storage room, and we were all hungry. I made up some sandwiches, and they got some chips and stuff out of the vending machines. We were shooting the bull about work and people there, and got on the subject of this one nurse that worked on the top floor. She was staying over for the storm, too. I got hit with a funny thought. I started laughing. The girl said, what's so funny? I said, I just had a great idea. I said, meet me over at the elevator in a minute. So, went across the hall, through the shop, grabbed my coat, went over to the duck pen, grabbed one of the ducks, went back in the building, round the corner to the elevator, and the girls are there, dying laughing. What are you doing? I got this duck, and his neck's going, and he's yapping away. Push the elevator button. Door opens up. I walk in, I put the duck on the elevator. Press the close button. Off he goes. We're dying laughing. You could hear the duck honking on the way up to the 3rd floor. Well, while the duck was going up, these girls were getting second thoughts, and we're going to get in a lot of trouble for this, and you shouldn't have done that. By the time the elevator got to the 3rd floor, I was getting the feeling that maybe the Budweiser was getting to me, that I was making a horrible mistake. So I pushed the recall button. Elevator comes back down, the door's open. No duck. Well, then it got even funnier. We're dying laughing. The intercom comes on. All you could hear were people laughing and screaming. You could hear the duck in the background. Quack, quack, quack. John, please report to the top floor. We have a problem up here. All this laughing and screaming. I was like, oh, Jesus. Get on the elevator, get up to the top floor. It was a circus up there. Got nurses running down, up and down the hallway trying to catch this duck. Feathers flying. Over at the nurses' station, this one nurse that we were talking about that was crazy, she was in tears laughing, pounding her fist on the desk. She says, would you get that friggin' duck out of here? Caught the duck and got back on the elevator. Took him back outside. I don't know how I did it, but I finally got some sleep. Had to get up a couple of times during the night to shovel. Had a couple more beers. When my boss came in at 7 in the morning, he goes, oh, you must be tired after all that shoveling you did all night. You can take today off. It was a good thing, too, because I was wrecked. So that's my story about the winter of 1973. Thanks for joining me. We'll catch you again.